Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lesser Known But Awesome Heroes. And today, I'm going to talk about a character that I've been wanting to talk about for the longest time, and now I finally get to talk about him. That's right, guys. As you can tell by this character, I talked about Luke Cage in an older video when I first started Lesser Known. Well, now I get to talk about Luke's partner and best friend and the godfather of his daughter Daniela, and that is Danny Rand, the also known as the Immortal Iron Fist. So let's not delay. Let's get underway with Iron Fist's Lesser Known, shall we? Now, his first appearance was in Marvel Premiere issue 15 in May of 1974, and he was created by Roy Thomas and Gil Kane. His team affiliations that he's been part of the Thunderbolts, the Immortal Weapons, the Defenders, Heroes for Hire, and the New Avengers. He was also partly part of the Secret Avengers. I don't know why they didn't put that in there. But he was part of Cap's Secret Avengers during the Civil War as well. And his main ability is that he's got the Iron Fist, which is a conception of him using his chi to focus it into his fist. However, finding the Book of Iron Fists, as Chris had once called it, because this is actually a character that the Mount Vernon kid really loves. So I'm a little nerve-wracked, to say the least, doing this video, because I have a feeling I'm going to fuck up really bad. But anyway, he's been through the Book of Iron Fists, according to the Mount Vernon kid. He actually was able to incorporate the techniques of the other Iron Fists and integrate it into his fighting style. And it was because of this that Danny was able to pull his chi from much wider sources. And on top of that, Danny, because of expanding his chi, can now do different things. He can now heal minor wounds like stab wounds or gunshot wounds. He can't heal grave injuries, though. But he also can form a slight telepathy type link, or a short range one. I don't know, I can't fully specifically remember most of the stuff that Chris was telling me and stuff that I found out, but anyway, Danny is also a master martial artist. Matter of fact, he's one of Marvel's biggest martial artists in hand-to-hand combatants. This guy, in a contest of pure skill, fought to a draw with Captain America, and he's also fought to a draw or gained partly an upper hand with most of the other martial artists or combatants in the Marvel universe. This guy's taken on Wolverine. This guy's also taken on Black Panther, Daredevil, Shang-Chi. Danny's fought, the best of the best. You name somebody who uses martial arts in their repertoire in the Marvel universe, Danny has probably faced them. On top of that, Danny also has lightning quick reflexes. This guy's reflexes are crazy, because there was one time I remember reading, I don't even know if it's true, but supposedly in one issue there was a guy who got the drop on Danny partly, and he actually pointed a gun right at his head, right at his skull. Right as he pulled the trigger, Danny actually moved and plucked the bullet out of the air before it even came out of the chamber. Fully came out of the chamber. So apparently Iron Fist's reflexes are so great that he can actually dodge gunfire at point blank range. Or at least if somebody's shooting at him at point blank range and he's really, focused. Danny also has, trained himself to where he can partly take on the elements. I mean, he can walk through the Tibetan mountains shirtless. Danny literally has trained himself to become purely a weapon. He's basically a lethal weapon in some ways. Danny also, I'll go into more into his powers here. Basically, Danny, by plunging his fists into the molten heart of the dragon Shulao, the Undying, he infused with the dragon's superhuman energy, and also his training by, let's see, and also the training given by Li Kung, the Thunderer, Leikung, gave Danny the power of the Iron Fist, allowing him to summon and focus his chi to enhance his normal abilities to extraordinary levels. His strength, speed, stamina, durability, agility, reflexes, and senses can be greatly intensified, making his already formidable martial arts skills even more so. I'm looking here. Okay, yeah, I don't. And that apparently during the Civil War, some of you may get a kick out of this, but apparently Iron Fist could not register with the Superhuman Registration Act because he was actually already registered with the government due to his martial arts skills and being listed as a lethal weapon. Plus, his Iron Fist technique wasn't ruled as magic, it was ruled as a natural skill for him. Which I've always thought that was kind of a funny tidbit of Civil War. Okay, Danny was born in New York, and he was the son of a wealthy businessman, Wendell Rand, a wealthy entrepreneur who discovers the mystical city of Kunlun. There we go. His martial arts style is Kunlun, which is also the city that he was born in. See, now I'm fucking up. Okay, which was a Tibetan-like city in the mountains. As a young boy. And what they don't share here that I actually read is that Danny's business partner betrayed him by basically kicking out the stumps that he had on the side of the mountain to keep him from falling. And Danny's father fell to his death, and this was because his business partner was jealous of Rand being more popular, and because he actually secretly was jealous that Rand married the woman that he loved. He lusted after Danny's mother. Danny's mother ran away with, Danny, and she sacrificed her life when they came to a drawbridge leading to Kunlun. And she sacrificed herself by throwing herself at a pack of wolves while Danny actually, ran for his life. However, Danny would eventually black out due to the elements, and he would be discovered by monks of Kunlun and would actually be, raised as a student there. And he would be trained to get revenge on his father's business partner. And it was during this time and apparently, actually, no, as a young boy, and apparently during his time in Kunlun, Wendell saved the life of the city's ruler, Lord Tuan, and was adopted as his son. However, Wendell apparently left Kunlun and became a wealthy entrepreneur in the U.S. He married socialite Heather Duncan and had a child, Daniel. When Daniel was 9, he had organized an expedition to again seek out Kunlun, taking his wife Heather and his business partner Harold with him. During the journey up the mountain, Daniel slipped off the path, his tie rope taking his mother and father with him. His business partner, who also loved Heather, forced Wendell to plunge to his death, but offered to rescue Heather and Daniel. She rejected his help, preferring to journey without him or die. As explained in that in the debut issue, they would come across a makeshift bridge that appears out of nowhere and were attacked by a pack of wolves. She throws herself on the wolves to save him and is killed as archers from Kunlun attempt to save her. The archers take the grieving Daniel to actually see the hooded ruler of Kunlun, Yuti. When Daniel expresses his desire for vengeance, he apprentices him to Leikung. The Thunder, who teaches him martial arts. He proves to be the most gifted among the students, and he conditions his fists by plunging them into buckets of sand, gravel, and rock to toughen them up. At age 19, he was given the chance to obtain the power of the Iron Fist by fighting and defeating the dragon known as Shu Lao, the Undying, which guarded the melting heart that had been torn from its body. During the battle, Danny throws himself against the scar of Shu Lao, which burns a dragon's tattoo onto his chest. Having killed Shu Lao, he enters its cave and plunges his fists into a brazier containing the creature's molten heart, emerging with the power of the Iron Fist. It is later revealed that there were many Iron Fists before Daniel, making him the modern member of a long lineage of Iron Fists. And when Kunlun reappears on Earth 10 years later, Danny decides to leave and find his father's killer. Returning to New York, Danny dresses in the ceremonial garb of the Iron Fist and seeks out his father's former business partner, who now is the head of his own industry plant. After overcoming a number of attempts on his life, he confronts his father's former business partner in his office, only to find the man legless, an amputation carried out when, after abandoning Daniel and his mother, he was caught in heavy snow and his legs became frostbitten. Impressed by his abilities, he accepts his fate and tells Iron Fist to kill him, but overcome with pity for this pathetic shell of a man, Danny just decides to walk away. And it's at that moment that he is murdered by a mysterious ninja, and his daughter, Joy, blames Danny for his death. Eventually, he clears his names and begins a career as a superhero, aided by his friends Colleen Wing and Misty Knight, falling in love with the latter. Notable adversaries early on in his career including the first appearance of Victor Creed, Sabretooth, and the mysterious Master Khan, whom the ninja that killed his father's former business partner once served, and the Steel Serpent, the exiled son of his trainer, who convented the Iron Fist power. And Danny would meet Iron Man early in his career. Soon after that, he recounted his first battle with Hylthri. I think that's how you spell it. Yeah, that's how you spell it. And just before his battle with Steel Serpent, Misty Knight had began working undercover, infiltrating the organization for the crime leader John Bushmaster. When Bushmaster discovered Knight's treachery, he kidnapped Claire Temple and Noah Burstein, the closest associates of Luke Cage, better known as Power Man, holding them hostage to force Cage to eliminate Knight. Iron Fist was on hand to stop him, however, and after a battle the truth came out. Rand then helped Cage and the Daughters of the Dragon battle Bushmaster and rescued Temple and Burston, as well as obtain evidence that proved Cage's innocence on prior drug charges. Iron Fist and Power Man then decided to become partners, and they would then form Heroes for Hire Incorporated. There we go. Although they were supposed to be heroes who worked for money, they always would do the right thing and they usually left with less money rather than more. Iron Fist, in his secret identity of Daniel Rand, had resumed control of his parents' fortune as half of his father's company, and was actually quite wealthy. This caused a lot of tension between him and Cage, who was raised, poor in the ghetto. Although Rand had actually handed control of his company over to other managers while he learned how to cope in the real world after living so long in Kunlun rather than relying on the money that he had inherited. At one point, the pair had traveled to Kunlun together, where they battled Master Khan. Power Man and Iron Fist's partnership ended when Rand contracted cancer from radiation poisoning and inadvertently died at the hands of Captain Hero, and Cage became a fugitive as the prime suspect in his death. Resurrection. In the 1990s, the storyline of Rand's death was resolved in the pages of Namor. Although Rand had apparently returned from the dead, it is revealed instead to be the Super Skrull. He admits that he had been Captain Hero and that the plot to eliminate the lives of Rand and Cage had been masterminded by Master Khan. It is also revealed that the Iron Fist that had died was actually a doppelganger created by the extra-dimensional Hylthri. Rand had in fact been kidnapped and replaced by a copy just after he left Kunlun for the last time. While in stasis with them, Rand managed to focus his chi, curing the cancer. He was later discovered alive in Kunlun with Namor and Misty Knight. He battled Master Khan once more. After Marvel's Onslaught event, Rand and Cage would reform Heroes for Hire Inc. with an extended team, this time working for Namor's Oracle Corporation. Chronicled in a new Heroes for Hire series, the title was eventually canceled due to low sales, ending with Namor dissolving Oracle as well as Heroes for Hire Inc. And at one point he lost his powers to Junzo Muto, the young leader of the Hand, but subsequently regained them. In an Iron Fist miniseries, Miranda Rand Kai also returns from the dead. And the alien race that kidnapped Rand would actually revive her and promise to restore her to full life if she retrieves the extra-dimensional artifact known as the Zodiac Key. To this end, she takes the identity of Death Sting, bringing her into conflict with Iron Fist as well as S.H.I.E.L.D., especially when they tried to kill Iron Fist. I'm talking about the alien race, not S.H.I.E.L.D. Miranda turns the power of the Zodiac Key against them, seemingly killing herself in the process. However, exposure to chemicals from their pods actually prevented her death. During the House of M event, he is shown to be part of Luke Cage's resistance group. And when Matt Murdock was arrested in the Civil War and imprisoned, Danny actually offered to take his place as Daredevil and defend Hell's Kitchen for a while. And Rand was actually hired by Foggy Nelson. In reality, Nelson had faked being murdered and was in witness protection. And when Rand was apprehended by the pro-registration forces, he called Tony Stark Judas and gave him a silver dollar, which he says makes 31 pieces for him. He was later freed from the Negative Zone prison, joining Captain America's team in a final battle with Iron Man's forces. After the arrest of Steve Rogers, he would join the New Avengers and would secure an accommodation by Doctor Strange, and would include his Luke. Also in the public eye, he is able to avoid arrest with legal loopholes. During Dark Reign, he would leave the New Avengers due to a variety of problems, but now lets them know that if they ever need him, to give him a call. He then participates in looking for Luke and Jessica's daughter Danielle, taking out a Hydra cell alongside Jessica Drew, the Spider-Woman. Thinking that the skull Jarvis had contacted Earth villains looking for a way out of New York. Rand would then be taken captive by Norman Osborn's Thunderbolts and brainwashed into fighting Luke as part of a mental reconditioning program Osborn had created to use on other superheroes to do his bidding. However, he managed to shake off the brainwashing by using his focused chi energy to clear his mind. Alongside Misty Knight, Doctor Strange, Doctor Voodoo, Hellcat, Valkyrie, Daredevil, and the Thing aid the new Avengers in locating and rescuing Cage from Osborn after he suffered a heart attack and seemingly taken into custody as a fugitive. Yeah, I'm going way too fast here. Okay, the Immortal Iron Fist. Okay, in 2006, Marvel would launch a new ongoing series called The Immortal Iron Fist, which was co-written by Matt Fraction and Ed Brubaker and featured art by Spanish illustrator David Aja, A-J-A. Immortal Iron Fist began with a six-part arc counterintuitively titled The Last Iron Fist Story. The story reveals the Iron Fist to be a legacy power conferred on the champion of Kunlun roughly once a generation. There have been 66 Iron Fists. Kunlun is also revealed to be one of the 7 cities of heaven, each of which has a champion warrior. The story introduces, man, whoever wrote this had a lot of damn typos. The story introduces Orson Randall, which was Danny's immediate predecessor, who reemerged on his responsibilities to Kunlun after suffering immense psychological trauma during World War I. Randall is discovered in Thailand, apparently preserved by the spirit of Shu Lao and in full possession of his powers, but living in drug-soaked seclusion. Randall is pursued by agents of the Steel Serpent and the terrorist group Hydra. Jolted out of his decades-long Dill, Randall seeks out Danny in New York and gives him the Book of the Iron Fist, a sacred ledger supposedly containing all the kung fu secrets of the previous Iron Fists, which Randall claims to be necessary if Rand is to complete successfully with the coming tournament of the 7 champions. The Steel Serpent, whose powers are greatly augmented by Crane Mother, quickly dispatches Randall in single combat. On the brink of death, he surrenders his chi to Rand, giving him sufficient power to bow the serpent to a standstill. After a battle, Rand is immediately summoned by his master, who is also the father of Steel Serpent, to compete in a tournament that will decide the cycle according to each of the 7 cities of heaven appearing on Earth. However, the leaders of the 7 cities had secretly erected gateways between Earth and each city without the knowledge of the populace. The corruption of the leaders of the 7 cities of heaven has spurred Iron Fist, his master, Orson Randall's daughter, and John Amon to secretly plan a revolution. Iron Fist discovers that Crane Mother and XAO, a high-ranking Hydra operative, are planning to destroy Kunlun using a portal. Upon learning that plot, Steel Serpent helps Rand and the other immortal weapons to defeat him. Rand destroys the train intended to destroy Kunlun by extending his chi to find the train's electromagnetic field, transforming himself into a human bullet. Meanwhile, the revolution that's been orchestrated proves successful, with many fleeing in terror. When Rand confronts him, he reveals that there is an 8th city of heaven before killing himself. Steel Serpent ultimately seeks to redeem himself to his father and the populace. Rand suggests his former teacher as the new leader of Kunlun, and with Orson's unnamed daughter as the new Thunderer. After the events and learning that the Randall fortune had started, Rand International was formed from the opposition of the cities of heaven. Rand decides to transform the company into a non-profit organization dedicated to helping the poor. He also sets up the Thunder Dojo in Harlem to help inner-city children. buys back the old Heroes for Hire Inc. building as the new Rand International headquarters and his new home, while offering Luke a position in the company. And he also tries to reconnect with Misty Knight. Rand, on his 33rd birthday, soon learns a disturbing fact about the previous Iron Fists. Every single one of them died at the age of 33, except Orson Randall, who vanished at that same time. Soon afterward, Rand is attacked by a serpent of C.H.L. Lynn. Defeating Rand easily, he claims that he has killed many Iron Fists. However, Luke, Misty, and Colleen arrive just as the serpent prepares to slay Rand. Luke manages to get a hold of the mysterious assassin, but he then suddenly vanishes. Rand searches for answers in the Book of Iron Fist and to try to understand how Orson Randall was able to avoid being slain by the assassin. However, one of Rand's new business associates called Rand up to alert him of the assassin stalking out the Thunder Dojo. Rand heads for the dojo, where he finds the assassin, whose real name has been revealed as Zhou Chang. Z-H-O-U. Chang has placed some sort of psychic telepathic command upon the students to kill each other if Rand does not surrender. Rand bows before him, but this is quickly revealed to be only a ploy, as Luke, Misty, and other immortal weapons arrive to aid Rand. While still formidable in combat, Rand correctly guessed that an opponent who was tailored to fight the Iron Fist would not be as effective against the other weapons. The group defeats Chang, but he vanishes into thin air. The immortal weapons embark on a hunt for Chang, while Rand attempts to learn about his new adversary. Let's see. Excuse me. He soon learns that Orson Randall was only able to escape him by addicting himself to heroin, thus dampening his chi and leaving Chang. Leaving Chang under the assumption that he had died. While searching for a way to defeat Chang in the Book of Iron Fist, Rand discovers that his assistant, Nadia, is an accomplice to Chang after she poisons his coffee. While Rand's chi prevents the poisoning from killing him, it is sufficiently strong to weaken him. It is sufficiently strong enough to weaken him. All of a sudden, Chang arrives in Rand's office. Thanks Nadia, who, although being Chang's beloved, appears to be a rather reluctant accomplice and prepares to finish what he and Rand started. Just then, Nadia steps in and attempts to stop Chang, revealing to him that she is pregnant with his child and does not wish for their baby to be the child of a murderer. Chang, it is revealed, is seeking to retrieve the heart of the Iron Fist in order to enter Kunlun and devour the egg that births the next Shu Lao the Undying every generation, thus wiping out Kung Lung's Iron Fist legacy. Despite having slain every previous Iron Fist who did not otherwise fallen battle or relinquish their power except Orson Randall, Chang has always failed to reach the egg. Chang is also revealed to be slowly buying out Rand International. However, this is also revealed. Oh crap! Let's see. Oh, there we go. Thought I lost my place there for a second. It's also revealed that he was slowly buying out Rand International for the past 20 years. Throws Nadia out of the way and continues his attack. Rand has his shoulder dislocated during the battle, but manages to defeat him even in his weakened state. And following the duel, the immortal weapons, Luke, Colleen, and Misty arrive and reveal to Rand that they had discovered a map in Chang's apartment that leads to the 8th city of heaven, whose existence was mentioned by XAO during the tournament of the 7 cities. Rand and the others realize that this is where the rival group had originated and depart for the 8th city. Before their departure, Davos, Davos, arrives at the behest of Li Kung, Leikung. At this point, I'm just going to stop and try to pronounce these, even if I do mess them up. To inform Rand that the Eighth City is in fact a prison constructed to hold demonic creatures that had once threatened Kunlun and other cities of heaven. And its gate only allows passage in but not out, making it effectively synonymous with hell. However, Davos also informs Dany that the previous leader of Kunlun had imprisoned anyone who attempted to rebel against his rule in the Eighth City. And then Lee commissions Rand and the Immortal Weapons to rescue the wrongful prisoners and inform them that the in not out rule can be bypassed by all 6 of the Immortal Weapons. Upon arrival at the gates of the city, Rand and the others are literally sucked into the depths of the city, whereupon they are attacked by the prisoners of the Eighth City, which is ruled by the nefarious Chang Ming. I'll spell that out. Changming, and forced to fight the demons of the city one by one, each time beaten nearly to death, their chi weakened by having been pulled in the city and rotated repeatedly, while being allowed to heal just enough to be able to fight again. While Rand is in his cell after a fight, he hears a tapping on his cell wall and realizes it is being done in Chinese with the message, "You are an Iron Fist, just like me." Meanwhile, it is revealed that Davos has not been completely honest with Dany and the Immortal Weapons about their mission, as he has posted a spy outside of the gate of the Eighth City who reports that there being no signs of life but that something is clearly happening. But Davos determines that this requires him to battle Rand once again. Rand's fellow prisoner reveals himself to be Quan Yoza, who is the very first Iron Fist. Quan reveals that in the early days of Kunlun's history, Chang Ming had risen to power during a short period of moral decadence in the city, and that he had been the one who originally summoned all the demonic creatures that had once plagued Kunlun into the city, including Shu Lao the Undying, and quickly used them to conquer the city. One day, however, a lone warrior had entered the dragon's cave to challenge it. Before he can finish, he and Rand are removed from their cells and brought into an arena for a fight. By now, he had learned that Rand and the Immortal Weapons had been formulating a plan to rescue the prisoners of the Eighth City and make their escape. And by leaving each other's Morse code messages in the arena after each fight, he declares that Rand and Quan will fight to the death. Rand refuses to fight an old man, but Kuhn, now in his Iron Fist suit, replies, "Sorry, young Fist. I've been waiting for this chance for freedom far too long." However, once the fight begins, Dany immediately senses that his opponent lacks any perceptive martial arts skills and realizes that that it is all a deception. As the Immortal Weapons manage to escape and defeat the guards during a fight, he reveals Chang Ming reveals that he is, in fact, the true first immortal Iron Fist. And he explains that he voluntarily stayed in the Eighth City to keep Kunlun's demons from escaping. However, upon seeing his lost love thrown into the Eighth City, he became disillusioned and believed that Kunlun was not worth saving, eventually rising up to rule the Eighth City as Chang Ming. Rand and Fat Cobra managed to defeat him in battle and prepare to ask him about the true nature of the Eighth City and why they were sent there. However, Rand soon discovers that the immortal weapons are pawns in a plan he had hatched, as the door to the Eighth City can only be opened from the inside by the immortal weapons. His plan was for the immortal weapons to make an escape attempt, thereby opening the gate and unleashing him and his army to take on revenge of the Seven Cities for having sentenced him and many other citizens to an eternity in the Eighth City. However, he forces Rand to lead him out of the Eighth City and back to Kunlun. After making it outside the gate, the two encounter Davos, who is waiting outside the gate with a sniper rifle. He tells Rand that he has been sent there by Li Kang to assassinate him, as he and Li Kang believe that Rand lacks the ability to take a life. In the ensuing battle, Rand manages to defeat both Davos and the first Iron Fist, going as far as to take a bullet in the hand for the latter. Rand's actions impress him, who decides that Rand may be living proof that Kunlun is not the corrupt city it once was. Rand and Davos agree to guide him to Kunlun and arrange a meeting between him and Li Kang to give him a form for his grievances. However, when Rand returns to New York, he finds a Hydra cell waiting for him at Rand International, seeking retribution for the death of XAO and holding Misty hostage. In the ensuing battle, Rand International is destroyed, but Rand and Misty escaped unharmed. With Rand International destroyed and now left with only a fraction of his former net worth, Rand and Misty purchase a new condo in Harlem, and Rand decides to focus all of his attentions and remaining resources at the Thunder Dojo. While moving into their new home, he asks Misty to marry him. Initially skeptical of the offer, thinking it may only be one of those honor things, she accepts and reveals that she is pregnant with Rand's child. The Thunderbolts. Danny is surprised one day when he finds Norman Osborn waiting for him in his office and is then ambushed and captured by several of the Thunderbolts. Osborn uses new technology to brainwash Danny using a mentally induced simulation in which Rand kills Wolverine, Spider-Man, and Captain America, but cannot bring himself to kill Luke Cage. Ghost suggests completely mind-wiping Rand, but Osborn does not want him to lose his skills, so he forces Rand to undergo a dangerous procedure where his mind is further tampered with. Danny assists in capturing Luke, but later escapes thanks to the Ghost's tampering. Then Danny attacks Luke, who has been assisted in his escape by Ant-Man, who he had previously swallowed, and Rand makes it appear that he killed Cage. However, this actually allowed the two to escape by surprise. It is later revealed, however, that Danny used his focused chi to punch Cage. It had cleared his warped mind. And then we go to the Heroic Age. In the aftermath of Siege, Rand rejoins a newly reformed New Avengers. And while fighting a demonic invasion in New York, apparently originating from the Eye of Agamotto, Danny was teleported into another dimension when he came into contact with the Eye, simultaneously creating a rift on Earth that Doctor Strange claimed would be the end of everything. As the Avengers battle the demons back on Earth, Iron Fist finds himself in a white void where he encounters the Ancient One, who claims that he is responsible for the current invasion due to his anger at Strange's recent failures. When Iron Fist returns to Earth, now dressed in a new white and gold outfit, he claims that the Ancient One has told him that Strange stole the Eye from the Ancient One rather than being given it by his master, challenging Strange to admit the truth. Although it is subsequently revealed that Rand was actually being manipulated by Agamotto as part of his attempt to destroy this reality, he retains his new costume even after Agamotto's defeat and Dr. Voodoo's sacrifice. After finding out that Misty's pregnancy was false, Misty and Danny decide to move out of their apartment and live separately, but continue their relationship. On to the Shadowlands storyline. Okay, Danny is among the heroes who battled Daredevil and the Hand. Luke and Danny are asked by Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor to speak to Daredevil concerning the Hand's martial law imposed over Hell's Kitchen. As the former heroes for hire make their way to Hell's Kitchen, they witness Daredevil brutally murder Bullseye. Danny later has an encounter with someone who is going by the name of Power Man. He and Luke discover that this Power Man is Victor Alvarez, who was a survivor of the building that Bullseye blew up. The day after Bullseye's murder, Iron Fist and Luke Cage discuss Murdoch's actions when they are visited by Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, who comes to warn them that soon they will need to take Murdoch down. Danny later joins Luke and other street heroes when talking to Daredevil, when Kingpin unleashes Ghost Rider upon Shadowland. Daredevil suspects them behind Ghost Rider's attack and orders his ninjas to hunt them down. In a final battle for Shadowland, he uses his chi to heal Murdoch's body and soul, giving Daredevil the power to fight back against the beast inhabiting his body. And after Shadowland, he becomes the new Power Man's mentor, and the two become a team. Now here's finally the Fear Itself storyline. During the Fear Itself storyline, Danny and the Immortal Weapons are summoned to Beijing, China to close the gates of the 8th city that are on the verge of opening. However, Doctor Strange's prediction that Iron Fist is the problem and not the solution comes true when Danny is placed under mind control, which has also created a mystical influence with the ability of the Immortal Weapons close to the gate. He is then forced to battle his allies, including War Machine, who had accompanied their group on this trip. Thanks to War Machine knocking him out, the mission is completed successfully. However, Doctor Strange realizes that Iron Fist is now an immortal weapon of Agamotto. And that is it, guys. That is all of Iron Fist's origins. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully I didn't do too bad of a job. I think I did okay. So with that, guys, as always, stay tuned for the next one.